The Cultural Center. This was originally the Chicago Public Library, and it was constructed in around the late 1800s, just before 1900. And it was designed in a neoclassical style with some elements of Beaux-Arts and even some elements of what you would consider Baroque on the interior. In particular, the interior is pretty unique because we have two very large stained glass domes that were designed by Louis Comfort Tiffany, and they are two of the largest of their kind anywhere in the world. The larger of the two domes actually spans over 1,000 square feet. Also surrounding that largest of the two domes are these glass mosaics that run up the walls of not only the room that the dome is in, but also the main staircase on the south end of the building. Marshall Field and Company was built in phases from 1901 to about 1914. It's essentially 6 different buildings that were merged into one, and within those 6 buildings are 3 large atrium spaces. But the smallest of those 3 atriums also has the largest glass mosaic work by Louis Comfort Tiffany. It was installed around 1907, includes about 1.6 million pieces of glass. Santa Fe building. This was originally known as the Railway Exchange building. It was completed back in the very early 1900s, 1902 I believe. A building that's covered entirely in terracotta on the exterior as well as on this interior lobby, which is this 2-height space, which was very common for these lobbies in the early 20th century. Terracotta includes the balustrade that wraps around this arcade on the 2nd floor, and it has this wonderful skylight over that space. The James R. Thompson Center was designed by a German-born Chicago architect, Helmut Jahn. It's another example of a postmodern building, but one that takes on a more contemporary flair. It has this very large open atrium space in the center of the building, which actually naturally ventilates the space. Air forms a convection current within it. And you can also see essentially the guts of the building. The elevators have the counterweights just open to view, and you can see them operating up and down as you are looking through the space, and you can also see the state offices that just sort of open up onto that grand atrium without any sort of major partitions between them. It's sort of a function that really only works in a government building because there's a lot of unrentable space in that open atrium, but it creates this really wonderful dramatic experience as you're in there. And the color scheme too is also quite dramatic as well. You have this baby blue mixed with salmon pink. 190 South LaSalle is a postmodern design. This was designed by Philip Johnson and John Berge. It was completed in 1987. The lobby is significant because it is clad out of marble with a ceiling covered entirely in gold leaf, and it cost them over $1 million back in 1987. City Hall was constructed on the same site that City Hall has always been on. There have been multiple buildings housing a City Hall there. What's interesting about that is that only half of the building actually functions as City Hall. The other half of the building is essentially our county courthouse, or what is now the county building, with the courthouse actually being the Richard Daley Center across the street. But the design has always been the same, but you would know it walking through the lobby.